There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
Hey, I'm Joe Pruitt. I'm the publisher and /CEO of Aftershock Comics, and you're watching The Experience.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. They want me to say that now. They want me to say the name of the channel as well as the name of the show, which I'm fine with. I usually say the Dan Wickline Show. But I feel like we need something like a graphic to go with The Experience. You know, something like, remember the old The More You Know thing for NBC? We need an Experience logo like that. So when you say here on The Experience, it should like sparkle rainbows as the word experience dances across the screen or something like that. It should be automatically triggered too as soon as you say The Experience. You know, like how you type congrats in your phone and then fireworks go off. It should be something like that. Cool. Thanks, JD. JD's going to work on it for me. That's awesome. So it is Thursday, March 17th. That's kind of an important day. What is it? What is it? Something. What is it? Oh, yeah, St. Patrick's Day. Did you know that 70 to 80% of, somewhere between 70 and 80% of Americans, white Americans, I have to clarify that, claim to be part Irish? It is the most popular nationality to claim connection to. Now, not 70 to 80% of white Americans are not Irish. The number's lower than that. But those who claim it, very high. It's like, you know, you want to be part Irish, especially today. Now, I always considered myself Irish. Now, my reasoning for it is that my maternal grandmother, Phyllis Tilley, was born in County Cork, Ireland. So, to me, I've got Irish heritage. I've also got Scottish heritage because my maternal grandfather is named Henderson and is Scottish, and the Henderson clan, which is a big clan over in Scotland. So, but a couple years back, my grandmother passed away in 2016, more than a couple years ago now. It all kind of condenses. And I remember talking to her, and I said, well, you know, you're Irish and all that. Henderson clan, cute, JD. So I reminded my grandmother that she was Irish, and she got offended. She's like, I'm not Irish. And I'm like, what do you mean you're not Irish? She goes, I'm English. And I'm like, okay, you were born in County Cork, Ireland. She's like, yes, but I'm not Irish. And I'm like, doesn't that make you Irish if you're born in Ireland? I don't know. And I never got a good explanation from her before she passed. So on the safe side, when she did pass, I poured myself an Irish whiskey and a scotch, and I drank both to her. And then about 6 other drinks after that. But that's another, yeah. So today is the day everybody wants to be Irish. And if you are, great. But of course, there's a lot of things about St. Patrick's Day that don't line up. The national color of Ireland is blue. And just down the line, there aren't any leprechauns as much as you like to think there are. No one's got a pot of gold, especially in this economy. Yeah. But hey, have a drink, enjoy yourself, but in moderation, get yourself home safely, you know. All right, let's move on. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Moving on. We are going to talk about one kind of bad bit of news And luckily, she's all right. But actress Karen Fukuhara, who you probably know from The Boys or from Suicide Squad, not the Suicide Squad, from Suicide Squad, she says that she was physically assaulted in a hate crime the other night. Now, she says that today I was struck in the head by a man, physically fine. This shit needs to stop. U.S. women, or us women, Asians, and elderly need your help. I rarely share about my personal life, but something happened today that I thought was important. I was walking to a cafe for some coffee, and a man struck me in the back of my head. It came out of nowhere. We made no eye contact before. I wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary. It came to my surprise. My hat flew off. By the time I looked back, he was a few feet away from me. He must have kept walking after hitting me. So she says, I write this because I've had conversations with multiracial friends of mine that have no idea these hate crimes happen to everyday regular people, people that they share meals with. I feel it's important to raise awareness. So just something to think about, that there's still this level of hate crime that happens out there. People who are angry because it's because somebody is Asian, or with how COVID was represented when it first came out. A lot of Asian people, regardless of what nation they come from, were being targeted for this, and it's been that way for a long time. And it needs to stop. It's ridiculous. You can't hate somebody for how they were born, where they come from. Those are, or what gender they are. Those are ridiculous things to hate somebody for. I mean, seriously, it's stupid. You're literally being ignorant for hating somebody because they were born a certain place, or their parents were born, or their lineage, or the fact that they were a woman instead of a man, or because they have a different sexual preference from you. That's the single least intelligent thing you can do, because you're not getting to know the person. You're attacking a stereotype, which just shows how ignorant you are. So we need to stop it. We need to absolutely stop it. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to dance around it, because it is stupid. If this is how you are, this is what you do, you need to stop. You need to think about it, what you're doing, why you're doing it. Can you justify what you're doing? Attacking somebody for just because their lineage comes from a certain place? I see news like that, and it upsets me, because we should be past that. We're an intelligent race. But as Tommy Lee Jones said in Men in Black, a person can be intelligent. People as a whole are, scared and ignorant, and yeah. So, all right, let's move on from that. I hope she is okay, and I hope whoever did it actually gets caught. So, okay, on a lighter note, Kristen Ritter, star of Jessica Jones, took to her Instagram and other social media, posted a picture of herself from the series, and stated, "Guess who's a Disney princess now? Go rewatch Marvel's Jessica Jones, now streaming on our new home, Disney Plus." And yep, that's the big news, is that as of yesterday, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Punisher, Defenders, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have all now moved from Netflix over to Disney Plus, so you can now see all of that over there. Now, that, of course, leads into the question, are they canon? Are they not canon? And that's a big question, because I think it's easy. It would be easy for them to say yes. But the problem is that it wasn't the same company. There was a divide between Marvel. There was Marvel Studios and Marvel Television. JD says, my hope is that Disney Plus re-edits The Punisher so each season is only 6 episodes. You know, I don't disagree with you. The Punisher ran a little long. It was still good. John Bernthal was a great Punisher. But it did run a little long. I think most of the Netflix series were probably 3 to 4 episodes longer than they needed to be. I think most of them were like 13 episodes, where 8, 9 would have been more than enough. But yeah, so they're all over there now. But are they canon? And then that question becomes even bigger when you look at the fact that Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, showed up in Spider-Man No Way Home. Kingpin, or Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, showed up in Hawkeye. JD says, I don't think there's a canon in the MCU now. After No Way Home is just different universes in the MCU. And that's a good possibility as well. Where it comes down is how much of what it may not be important, because we may never get to some of these characters again. Daredevil is a hugely popular character. Kingpin is a hugely popular character, and having them pop up in other series makes a lot of sense. Having these characters already established through the Netflix series saves a lot of time. So they can just throw Matt Murdock in the middle of Spider-Man No Way Home and not have to explain all that stuff. They can have Kingpin show up in Hawkeye and not have to go into his whole origin story, the whole thing behind who he is. They could have Jessica Jones show up on She-Hulk and not have to delve into the history. Or Luke Cage could pop up. Or if in Shang-Chi 2, they decide to have Iron Fist show up and in a small role. And maybe they recast it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they leave Finn Jones in there if it's going to be a small thing. You know, otherwise it's a role that's easy to recast, because you just get a white guy and put the dragon logo on his chest, or the dragon tattoo on his chest, and you get a good idea that it's Danny Rand. And there's a new Iron Fist in the comics, an Asian one, so you could change it to that direction as well. So there's stuff you can do, but you got to wonder, how much are they going to spend time on these characters? Because there's just so much going on in the MCU now. You know, we finished WandaVision, and it looks like House of Harkness is going to kind of be the sequel or the second season for WandaVision. Falcon and Winter Soldier are getting a Captain America 4, but what if they want to do a series after that? You've got Loki's getting a second season. What If is getting a second season. You've got Moon Knight debuting at the end of this month. Are they going to do anything more with Hawkeye? I mean, the show did well. You got Miss Marvel debuting in June. You've got She-Hulk in line. You've got Secret Invasion. You've got Armor Wars. You've got so much coming up. You've also got the Werewolf by Night Halloween special. So Echo is supposed to be getting a series. You got so much going on that you have to really wonder. I mean, how many shows a year can they do? Even if they start putting them out once a week, like with no breaks, at 6 episodes each, you're still looking at, at maximum, you're looking at less than 9 series a year. But they're not doing 9. They don't have the manpower or the production ability to do that. Plus, you've got the Star Wars stuff that's getting mixed in there, you know, and then you've got all the movies in the process. So there's so much going on. you have to wonder if we're ever going to get around to another Punisher series or another Iron Fist series or another Luke Cage series, because there's just so much going on. So whether they're canon or not may not actually matter, because they just kind of sit out there. Now, when they do a character like Daredevil, they may pick and choose. They may negate some of the things, but we haven't seen anything yet. We haven't seen any contradictions. The closest thing to a contradiction would be how strong Kingpin is in Hawkeye. But the rest of the stuff is still fits into what we've seen already. JD says, as long as we can confirm that Ben Affleck's Daredevil, Ang Lee's Hulk, all of the Fantastic Four movies aren't canon, that's what matters more to me. Don't worry about Ang Lee's Hulk. The Commodore 64 they rendered him on wasn't interfaced with modern computers. Yes. What's funny is I was actually thinking about the Ang Lee Hulk the other day when I was talking about William Hurt passing and the fact that he was General Ross and the idea of using Red Hulk if they were doing a Thunderbolt series. And now that he's gone, you don't really want to... Marvel doesn't seem to want to recast if they don't have to. So I could see them shifting the character down and maybe using Glenn Talbot in kind of the replacement role. But I forgot that Glenn Talbot never shows up in the Marvel version, the Ed Norton version of the Hulk. There is no Glenn Talbot. So he appeared in the Ang Lee version, and that's the one I was thinking of. So I was thinking about just the other night, or the other day. But now I bring up all this because, well, like I said, I don't think we're going to get to an Red Hulk is such a lazy gimmick. I'm good if it never shows up. So am I. I remember walking into a comic shop, going up to the person behind the counter and saying, did they ever announce who Red Hulk was? And they're like, yeah. I went, what was it? You don't want to read it? I said, no, because it's just a gimmick, but I'd rather just know it because this was, I guess I could have looked it up on the internet, but I just asked. And it's because it seemed like it was obvious that it was Ross the whole time. I don't know. But I bring this up because there's been a lot of talk about this guy right here, Daredevil in particular. Now, they're talking about him popping up a lot in the MCU. There's rumors that he's going to show up in the Echo series along with Kingpin, which makes sense because they were both tied into Echo's origin story in the comics. There's also talk of him showing up in She-Hulk, being another lawyer. It would make sense. And like I said, he did show up in Spider-Man No Way Home. So that makes sense. But there's also been talk about a new Daredevil series. Now, they've been talking about it for a while. And the rumors, there's a lot of rumors out there that seem like there are sites that are just making rumors up for the simple fact is they need to make stories. So they come out and say, Marvel's going to reboot Daredevil. This guy is going to reboot that guy. And, Ross calls it out, right? He says they could use Sam Elliott to play Ross again. Yeah, he was the other Thunderbolt Ross. So there is supposed to be talk about more Daredevil issues or episodes. The first thing that came out was the registering of a production company. And that's usually the first step to doing a new show is you get a production company registered that will be the one that runs it and stuff. And a new one has been registered. It's called Blind Fury Production, which is it Blind Fury? Yeah. No, Blind Faith. Blind Faith Production, which sounds very Daredevil-ish because the guy is blind and his faith is a big part of the character. So I can see why, and it has to do with Marvel and DC. Clancy Brown showed up in Punisher as a different general. So if they do make that all yeah. And he was Surtur. So, yeah, they could use him again just because he's Surtur, but he has been in that. Nelson and Murdoch LLC would have been a great name for a production company. Or just Avocados at Law. But so that happened a few weeks ago, and then it's kind of quieted it down. But now, and let me pull this up because I want to get it right. A few different sites are talking about this. And I'm going to pull it directly from CBR. But it says, according to the latest issue of Production Weekly, a trustworthy industry publication dedicated to films and series that are about to begin production, Marvel Studios has a listing for a project simply described as Daredevil Reboot. The entry is filed alongside a plethora of other projects already confirmed to be in development, including Deadpool 3, Madam Web, Kraven the Hunter, and the DCEU movie Blue Beetle. There's currently no word yet on when fans can expect to see the Devils of Hell Kitchen return to the MCU. But these productions that they're talking about now are supposed to be happening this year. Okay, so that's the takeaway from that, is that Marvel may be putting together, I've seen the Blood Fury movie. Marvel may be putting together the production company to start, but it could also be using it. They could be using it to put Echo together, if that makes sense. Because Echo is going to be kind of a fourth season of Daredevil. When you bring Matt Murdock in, you bring Kingpin in, and the connection that Kingpin has. So you could kind of see Echo as being the fourth season of Daredevil. Now, the fact that they use the term reboot is also interesting because they're keeping the same actor as Daredevil. They're keeping the same actor as Kingpin. What about the rest of the characters? You can look at throughout the Netflix series and go, that was good casting, that was horrible casting, back and forth. You could, running through the Iron Fist series. Finn Jones, probably not a great Iron Fist. Jessica Henwick, great Colleen Wing. Down the line, you can go through those characters. Pop over to Luke Cage, you can do the same thing. But then you've got two villains in Luke Cage that have shown up in other places in the Marvel Universe or the MCU, including Mahershala Ali, who is Cottonmouth in the series and is going to be Blade. So, how much do you keep? How much do you get rid of? Do you just pretend, do you just ignore it? Which I think is a viable option. Just ignore the fact that he played the two characters and move forward. They kind of did that with Gemma Chan, where she played Minerva in Captain Marvel. Mind you, she was blue-skinned. And then she plays Cersei in Eternals. Now, they could kind of get away with that by saying that Minerva is actually an Eternal based on the Cersei body type. They could get away with that. But then also you've got Michelle Yeoh, who played a character in Guardians of the Galaxy and then shows up in Shang-Chi. So it's not unheard of for them to use an actor more than once. It's rare. They don't want to do it, but I could see them doing it. Now, so you could go through the Netflix series and kind of go, okay, maybe they'll pick and choose. Maybe we'll keep this one. Colleen Wing and Misty Knight were awesome. Luke Cage, I know that When asked about the Netflix series, Kevin Feige came out and specifically named some people that he thought were great. He said Charlie Cox as Daredevil, Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin, Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones, and John Bernthal as Punisher. He didn't mention Luke Cage. He didn't mention Iron Fist. So does that mean he's got a list of the ones he likes and he doesn't? Probably. I think you and I do, So JD says they should just have Paul Rudd play everyone, all Rudd all the time. No, that'd be just Paul Rudd and Will Ferrell. Just have the two of them play all the characters back and forth. There you go. That's a better idea. So that's what we're looking at with the Marvel stuff, is how they're going to pick and choose. And maybe there is a Daredevil for season 4 coming, or maybe it's a reboot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to take a look at the 3 seasons of Daredevil and which things were good, which things weren't as good. If they were going to reboot it, what do you bring back? What do you drop? Who do you bring back? So we're going to look at that a little more in depth when we come back from break. So stick around. Be right back.
This is The Experience.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hey there. Hi there. Ho there. You're as welcome as can be.
Hi, I'm Nancy McCann. Welcome to Friday Night Live on The Experience.
Welcome, everybody, to Fat Jack's Comic Crypt. Brendan, Al, Jason, hanging out.
There I am. Welcome back to Kicking It with Henry, folks. I'm your host, Henry Combs. It's great to be here with you guys.
So we are going to talk about books that are in stores this week.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Mish Mosh.
Hello, and welcome to the Black Comics Universe, presented by Peep Game Comics.
And you gotta love it that the first people in a minute to skim it are creators.
Up, everybody! Welcome to another Wednesday Warriors. My name is Joey Galvez, and this is my pal Ambrosia.
Hey, everybody! Welcome to Space Cadet.
Hey!
What's up?
Welcome, everyone, for another episode of I Must Ask You a Question.
Hi, everybody! Welcome to Nerd News Now.
Hey, this is Rex. Welcome to Comic Collectibles.
Hey, hello, all you happy people. Welcome to the Dan Wickline Show.
Hi, everybody, and welcome. Is the crazy show that we do on Thursdays called What's in the Box? What's in the Box?
Comic culture and sales.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Today we are talking about Daredevil and the possible reboot / 4th season of the show. Now, after today's show, you want to stick around. We have What's in the Box with Miss Jen. That's at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Then Space Cadets at 8 p.m. Eastern. And Kicking It with Henri at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's our 2-hour comic book sales show. So you've got a lot of fun stuff coming up. What's in the Box with Miss Jen? It basically, she goes into her warehouse, picks a random box, brings it into the store, gets in front of the camera, opens it up, and sells what's ever in it. Which I'm still waiting for the episode that they open up and discover it's like a cat with kittens, or somebody's lunch, or it's just old tax papers. I think that's the episode I'm waiting for to see exactly how that works out. So stick around for that right after the show, and yeah, enjoy all the great stuff. Now, I would buy the kittens. I can see that, JD, but then you got to ship them out here to LA. Or road trip. Oh, I'd go with you. We could do a road trip. Not at current gas prices, but doing the Dan Wickline show from the road could be fun. Making a trip back to see Miss Jen, picking up some kittens and coming back. I like that idea. Yes, Dan Wickline live from Space Cadets. That could be a fun show. Okay, we could hit other comic shops as we went and just did the show from different comic shops. We stop in Arizona at Jesse James's place, and then just along the line we go to Mile High in Denver, just work our way back. Starting to get an idea here. This could be good. So, all right, folks, we are talking about Daredevil, the fact that there is a production company now for something similar. We should do the show live from Brainy's shop in Northridge. I don't know who Brainy is, but okay. I'm up for doing a live show. But so supposedly a Daredevil show is going into production. I still think it may just be Echo. It could be they're using the same production company with the idea that once Echo is finished, then they may roll into a Daredevil series. Why reinvent the wheel? Why not just keep the same production company if it's going to be the same people? That's my thought on that. But even if they aren't, let's take a look at Daredevil, the 3 seasons, the 39 episodes. There's 39 hours of Daredevil out there. Well, 39 episodes of Daredevil that are, for all intents and purposes, excellent stuff. I mean, not every episode was, perfect or by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm hearing a lot of people say that the Moon Knight series coming up may be the best thing Marvel has done television-wise. And that's possible. But I'd say without having seen that, right now, Daredevil is the best thing Marvel has done television-wise so far. And for 3 seasons, that's pretty amazing. The first season, we meet the basic characters. Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock. And I think hands down, everybody agrees that he was a terrific casting. There's no talk of rebooting him. When Marvel wanted to bring Daredevil in, they kept him for that very reason, because he really kind of embodies the character. He gets the angst, the religious connection. He plays blind very well. He's really good at it. Also, he moves well whether it's in the suit or not, with those hallway fight scenes. It's just a really good casting. So keeping him makes perfect sense. And looking at the opposite side, we look at Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin. And you can't have Daredevil without Kingpin. Now, I realize that there was 100 some odd issues of Daredevil before he ever went up against the Kingpin. And the Kingpin was Spider-Man's villain for a long time. And then Frank Miller came along. And there's an issue, and Frank talks about this. I've seen some interviews with him where John Byrne gave him a bit of advice about taking Kingpin. He says, draw him the same way he appears in the Spider-Man comics. And then as the page progresses, show how decisive and cold and calculating he can be, and change the lighting so that by the time the end page ends, you're drawing him the way you draw Kingpin, and he'll be your character forever. And it works. If you get a chance to see the pages from there, the shift in the character is so well done that he becomes Daredevil's villain. Even though he had spent all that time in Spider-Man, going up against Spider-Man, he becomes Daredevil's villain. JD says, the casting on Daredevil series gets an A from me. The missing plus is maybe the Elektra casting. I like the actress, but not sure if she was the best pick for the character. Yeah, I can understand that. I actually liked her as Elektra. I think she did okay. I don't have a problem with it, but maybe they could have gotten somebody a little better, but I think they did pretty well with it. So I'm not going to disagree with you, but I don't have as, I'm okay with that. But we'll get to her. The other castings in season 1, Deborah Ann Wool as Karen Page. She grew on me. I didn't like her much at first, but she grew on me. And I like how she basically moved into being a Punisher character as well, connected to the Punisher. And I like that a lot, how these characters would kind of cross over into other series. That made the Netflix series really feel connected, even before Defenders ever happened. You've got Claire Temple, Rosario Dawson, which was a great casting. How she goes from Daredevil to Jessica Jones to Luke Cage to Iron Fist and back and forth. And I think she popped up in Punisher too. Yeah, and I think she was one of the hinge pins for this universe of characters. So again, both her and Deborah Ann Wool. Like I said, Deborah Ann Wool took me a little bit to kind of warm up to her, but once it clicked, but it feels like there was a backstory for her that we never really got explained. There's something in her past, and I don't remember us really getting it worked out. So I'm kind of curious if they would keep her around for that. Now, she's very different than she is in the comics, though. I believe she's dead in the comics, or at least she was the last time I looked. And she's all part of the big Guardian Devil storyline, but and Born Again and stuff like that. But in a way, she becomes a bit of the Ben Urich character. Now, they cast Ben Urich in season 1, and it's Vondi Curtis Hall, who I thought was brilliant. I thought he was a really good job as Ben Urich. But they made a decision to kill him to emphasize how dangerous the Kingpin is. And I thought, while it was a very dramatic and powerful moment, I missed all the things they could do with Ben Urich going forward. He's such an important part of Daredevil in the comics that I kind of wish they would have kept him around. but they kind of replaced him. They killed him and had Karen Page kind of become that. So 6 of one, half dozen the other on that. The casting of Foggy Nelson, which I thought was interesting. Eldon Henson, I thought he did a really good job. You know, Foggy is an interesting character because he's almost like Ethel on I Love Lucy. Ethel always had to be a little heavier, a little less attractive than Lucy. She was always a sidekick. And I feel like Foggy always has to be a little chub, a little more out of shape, a little less intelligent, but every once in a while he kind of gets it. And I think Henson made the best use of those moments where he got to shine to really make the character good, but also have a lot of heart. So again, I love the cast in season 1. Across the board, I think they did really nice. Jeffrey Cantor as Mitchell Ellison was good. The introduction of Brett Mahoney, played by Royce Johnson, as the cop that they kind of have some connection to, that was good. The fact that we had Turk, we had Melvin Potter, we had all these important characters from the Daredevil comics that are more than just throwaway characters. They're important to the series, even though they're not huge characters, you know. And even Peter McRobbie as Father Lantom, I thought was terrific. Anytime he went to go talk to the priest about things, you know, you got the feeling that the priest knew what was going on, but still let Matt keep his secret, which is important. And had he called him out, then I think Matt wouldn't have someone to go talk to. So you see the father actually making that decision. Jay, that's what we got this conversation started, is that there is a word out that a production company, our production is supposed to start on a new season of Daredevil, a sort of a reboot. But it's from a company that lists all the productions that are going to happen in the upcoming year. But, you know, again, it's not confirmed by Marvel or anybody else other than this company. But this company has been pretty spot on when it puts out these things saying these are the shows that are going to start production. So word is that it's gonna get going. But it could also be that they're using this production company to do Echo as kind of a 4th season. So figured we'd talk about Daredevil and what to keep if they are going to do like a reboot or a soft reboot. So I think most of the supporting cast from season 1 are worth keeping. You know, when you get into season 2, then you got to look at, you know, John Bernthal as Frank Castle was phenomenal. Just I've got a lot of mad respect for John Bernthal. His dad is the head of the ASPCA, or the Humane Society, and John, anywhere he goes, he takes his pit bulls with him. I own a pit bull. Anybody who has that much love for a pit bull is good in my book. And, you know, the rescues and stuff like that. So but I think John was phenomenal as the Punisher. I absolutely loved the first season. Second season dragged a bit. I think they spent a little too much time on Jigsaw. I thought the first season was much better. I loved the relationship between Punisher and Microchip. It was almost like they were dating. It was so weird. But, yeah. So, Bernthal is Punisher. Bring him back. Have him pop up. All for it. Elektra, JD and I talked about this a few minutes ago. Elodie Young. I have no problem with her as Elektra. I thought she handled herself well in both the fight scenes and in her just romantic scenes with him, stuff like that. I think they could have done a lot more with her. The only problem I have with season 2 is that it became 2 different seasons. There was the Punisher half of the season, then there was the Elektra half of the season, and Punisher popped back up at the end. I think they could have kind of focused on either instead of splitting it like that. You know, just like, okay, season 2A, season 2B, whatever, but kind of make it a little more separate. But overall, again, I think they handled both those characters surprisingly well. Also, and I should mention this because we didn't get it till the end of season 1, but we had it through most of season 2, and that's the costume. Now, Daredevil's costume itself would be hard to do as it's drawn in the comics most of the time because it's just this red spandex thing. So I think they did a pretty good job here. They did a better job here than they did with the Ben Affleck one. And the Ben Affleck one, the biggest problem for me was the cowl only went down to about here. It didn't actually cover his head completely. It didn't go over the neck and stuff. So I thought they did a better job here. It made a lot of sense. But word is, through interviews and stuff, that when they do have Daredevil suit up again, the costume will be modified again. It won't be exactly this. Now, how much different? That remains to be seen. Will it be more comic accurate, less comic accurate? I think the key is that between every series, every movie, the characters always get costume changes. So I don't think it's that big a deal because they want to sell new toys. They want to sell new posters and action figures and pop figures and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think him having a different costume, a modified costume, is going to happen because that's what they do, right? All right, so there were some other characters that got brought into season 2 that most of them died. They killed off Stick. Scott Glenn was perfect as Stick. I was so impressed by him. I would like to have seen them do more with those characters. I think if they came back for a 4th season, there's a lot more we could do with Stick and the other members of the Hand of the Bad Guy. What was the name of the good guys? What was Stick's group called? Anybody? It's not coming to me, so I got it. Anyway, I'd like to see them. I think Stone is one of the guys' names. You know, all the guys in white that they end up saving Elektra. I think there's more they could do with those characters. And I think we would get back to the Hand if we do another series. Because that's one of the major things that, you know, especially if you do the storyline where Daredevil becomes head of the Hand. That could be an interesting take on it. But bringing Stick in was really well done. And I think that you could bring him back if you wanted to, because that particular group comes back to life a lot. The Chased, okay, that group comes back to life a lot, so we could see him pop back up if they wanted to bring Scott Glenn back. Season 3 gets really interesting because I don't think he was in costume enough in season 3. I think having Bullseye take the costume made sense story-wise, but I always like it when Daredevil is in his Daredevil costume. Wilson Bethel playing Benjamin Poindexter, or Dex, I thought he was great. he had that psycho edge to him, and you saw him getting worse and worse as the season progressed. Again, there's not a lot of real bad casting in Daredevil. There's no character I can think of that's like, oh no, get him out of here. Bob Gunton as Leland Owlsley, yep, fine. Joanne Whaley as Sister Maggie, good, great actress. Amy Ruthberg as Marcy, no problem. Yolette Zura as Vanessa, wonderful. And just down the line, there really wasn't. I mean, Turk, the guy that played Turk, I think Rob Turk was awesome. Turk Barrett, Rob Morgan, there it is. Also, the guy Matt Gerald played Melvin Potter. Those are all great. Again, casting across the board. So I think whatever Marvel wants to do with those characters shouldn't be a problem. The actors are all really well cast. But then the question becomes, well, what direction do you take them in? Do you go back to the Kingpin well? Do you follow up one of the other storylines that got introduced? The Chaste. Do you go back to the Hand and work with that? Do you bring back Elektra again? Do you pick up the thing about the owl? Leland Owlsley had a son. Do you make the son now the owl that Daredevil always faced up against? We don't really get to put him up against the Purple Man because Jessica Jones borrowed him, and he's important to her origin, but that was one of Daredevil's villains. Mr. Fear could be another one they could play with. So there's a lot of interesting things out there. They could do the Guardian Devil storyline that Kevin Smith and Joe Quesada did. They could do, again, him taking over the Hand. Daredevil goes to prison. I mean, there's a lot of different things they could do with the character based off of some incredible series. Things I hope they don't do, which has always been the one negative aspect of Daredevil for me, which was when they had Daredevil go up against Blackheart. And wasn't a big fan of the Typhoid Mary storyline either. And they've already used her in Iron Fist. So I'm okay if they stay away from those two. But I would like to see them kind of go back more into his, just him getting back into being a lawyer. Because to me, the lawyer part of him, that other side, the Matt Murdock side, is important. And they tend to throw that away a lot when they do Marvel Comics or MCU stuff, is they focus on the hero side and never the real life side. So I would like to see more of his Catholic upbringing and his time as a lawyer. It's funny. I did some research into Daredevil. In the very first issue of Daredevil, he and Foggy Nelson have just graduated, and they're opening up their law firm. Found a little storefront above a shop that they're going to put it up in. They're renting it. That's issue 1 of Daredevil. In issue 20, I believe it is, Matt Murdock is kidnapped by Mr. Fear. Might have been the Owl, but I think it's Mr. Fear. No, I think it's the Owl. A judge is also kidnapped. And the judge but he's kidnapped as Matt Murdock, not as Daredevil. And when the judge sees Matt Murdock, he recognizes him and says, "Oh, they've also kidnapped Matt Murdock, one of the greatest trial lawyers of our time." So when I saw that, I thought, so what has he done? What has Daredevil done in 20 issues to make him one of the greatest trial lawyers of our time? because he just got out of college, was opening his law firm in issue 1. Well, I went through. And in issue 4, I think it is, he is asked to represent Prince Namor in his dealings with, Namor, which never goes to court. Namor abandons the case or disappears. And I think that he answers some questions for Reed Richards. That's it. That's all they do in the first 20 issues of the book. And they refer to him as the greatest trial lawyer of our time. Now, I have a story that if I ever get a chance to pitch to a Marvel editor, I've got a Daredevil miniseries in mind that answers that. That's focused on that era. But that said, I would like to see them focus more on him being a lawyer. They did a little of that in the first season. They did a little more of it with Punisher. But after that, they kind of abandoned it. So, all right, guys, that is what's going on with Daredevil. Hopefully, we'll learn more. If they are going to do another series, we'll get some actual dates and stuff. I think there's an investor meeting coming up or a D23 or something. So maybe we'll get some more information about Echo, about Daredevil Season 4 or new Daredevil season coming up. Stick around. Up next is Minute to Skim It with Miss Jen, followed by Space Cadets, and then Kicking It with Omri right here on The Experience. I will see you all next week. Have a good one. Good night, everybody.